Hello, my lovely people, and welcome to Owen's Mind, a light-hearted trip through the contents of my head and the world in general. And here is a quick thought that is on my mind today. As you've no doubt ascertained from the title, this is about how I feel that the new console's lack of innovation then leads to us missing out as gamers and as consumers. Okay, so we'll get to that in a little minute. But as you no doubt know, unless you've been living under a rock, buried under an even bigger rock, that later on this year we're getting the new generation of consoles from Microsoft and from PlayStation. So we get the Microsoft Series X and the PlayStation 5 respectively, and they're expected to launch, no specific date yet, but sometime in November to really ramp up sales for that Christmas period. However, the machines as they stand now look amazing, they look fantastic, they look a massive leap forward in technology and gaming and what's going to be capable and what we can expect from games in the future. However, you look at them side by side and from a technical standpoint, they're pretty similar. So let's have a quick look here. So if we look at this side-by-side comparison, so CPUs, you know, the 8x Zen dual core, one's at 3.8, one's at 3.5. GPUs very similar, internal memory 16 gig of RAM. Memory bandwidth, they're not comparable figures, but I imagine they're going to be pretty close. Optical drive, both have 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drives. Both have internal solid-state drives. The Xbox One is slightly bigger, but again, they both have expansion slots. So again, from a technical standpoint, they're very similar, and this causes problems. Now, before we get to that, we'll just say that as an outlier, Nintendo have decided a couple of generations back not to go down this route, and it has served them very well. So they decided they were not going to get into a technical kind of horsepower race a couple of console generations back. So rather than say, look, for whatever reason, either financially or technically, they said, look, we're not going to get into this, you know, this match of trying to outdo what your GPU can do and what RAM you can do and what the amount of, you know, polygons you can put on screen. We're going to innovate. So we got the Nintendo Wii, we got motion control, and that was a big deal for them. You know, they thought we can't win in this sort of technical arms race, so we'll go for innovation. So they gave us motion control. With the Wii U, which wasn't a big seller, admittedly, they had the second screen on the controller and how that interacted with the main screen from the main console. But they've really hit their stride with the Switch. Now the Switch, obviously, again, technically not as good as the PS4 or the Xbox One from a visual standpoint, but from an innovation standpoint, it has been a huge boon for them. So this article here from Forbes, Nintendo Switch has become the fastest selling US console ever in its launch year, according to the NPD group. And it's 3 years, the 3 years since then, it's hit 52.48 million units sold, blowing out its predecessor's 31.36, that was the Wii U, million, and following a similar trajectory as the Sony PlayStation 4. So Nintendo proved that you don't have to follow suit with the others. You can do your own thing and do it very well, and I'll come back to that in a second. But with Microsoft and with Sony, what you get is it's almost like they're afraid to innovate. They have to do what the other guy's doing because they don't want to be left behind. They don't want one of them to be able to come out at a press conference and say, we have this killer feature that the other guy doesn't have. So if Sony, I don't know who was first, but Sony put a solid state drive in, so Microsoft have got a solid state drive in. You know, Microsoft have got the Ultra HD Blu-ray, so Sony's got the same thing. You know, RAM-wise, same. Much of it's going to be the same. And when these things launch, they will do as always, everybody on YouTube and everyone all across the internet will do a side-by-side graphical comparison. They'll say, look, this has got slightly better particle effects, or this has got slightly better that. For the average gamer, the casual gamer, you are not going to know the difference because both of these machines are fabulous machines. They are, and they will be. And, you know, I'm not going to fanboy one way or the other. I think they're both amazing machines from what we've seen of them so far, but they're going to be very close. The problem then is, how do they set themselves apart? How do they entice you to spend your money with them and not with the other one? And they do it with exclusive titles. And this is where we lose out as gamers and as consumers, because we then have to make a choice. So some of the exclusive titles we've got coming up. So this is an article from Screen Rant. So PS5 has got the all-new Ratchet & Clank, Demon's Soul remake, Horizon Forbidden West, and the new Spider-Man Miles Morales. You know, heavy-hitting titles. You know, Xbox has got Scorn, they've got the Medium, they've got the Halo Infinite, this kind of thing. So you get console exclusive titles. And of course, I can see why you do it. If you can tie somebody in, if you can get brand loyalty and go, look, we have this and the other company doesn't have this. So, you know, spend your money with us and we give you this nice warm feeling. We give you Halo Infinite. And PlayStation said, well, we've given you Last of Us 2 and you can't get that with the other console. So, you know, this is it. The problem is then you have to make a choice because most people are not in a privileged position where they can afford both consoles. So you know whichever one you choose, there is some awesome titles for the other one which you are never going to get to play. And as far as these exclusivity deals go, I don't know how they make it worthwhile for the developers. So if you take GTA 5, which was cross-platform, this is an article from Wikipedia. By April 2018, the game had generated about $6 billion, making it one of the most profitable entertainment products of all time. As of May 2020, the game had shipped over 130 million copies worldwide across all platforms. So I can't get specific sales figures for, you know, it's not going to be a third on Xbox and a third on PC and a third on, you know, PlayStation. But let's, for ease of numbers, say that it is. If you made it exclusive to one of those, say Rockstar made an exclusivity deal to only release GTA 5 on the Xbox, they're potentially leaving $4 billion on the table. So what deal are these companies offering developers to keep it exclusive? Because I'm no business mind, and there's probably a lot more than I can actually see here, but surely there's so much money being left behind that they cannot possibly match. If you make it just for our console, you know, you're going to lose out on potentially, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars, because obviously they don't get all of that revenue. It goes, you know, there's various places it has to go as well, but they will get a good sized chunk of it. Of course they will. So what deal have they been offered where it's like, yeah, okay, we'll just make it for you? Because surely from a financial standpoint, it's worse off just developing for one console because you're losing a massive slice of the marketplace. And again, here's where I think Nintendo differ, and this is why I think we have lost out, or we will lose out, if you are going to go the route of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. If you are choosing a Switch, you are choosing it based on the machine. You are choosing it based on the technical ability of the machine, because what it does very, very well, and it's apples and oranges to Microsoft and Sony is Nintendo Switch, because it innovates in a way that we have motion control. You have a portable system if you want it. You can dock it. You can play with your mates. You know, you can have multiple Joy-Cons done. You'll choose the machine because the machine itself appeals to you. Because what it does, the PlayStation and the Xbox Series X cannot do. You cannot have a portable version of that. So you choose the Switch based on the Switch. With the Series X and the PlayStation, because they are so similar from a technical standpoint, you're having to make a choice based on the available games, and that feels wrong to me. It feels like these systems are so close together, you're having to make a choice based on the software that's available for them, not which is the better machine, just which has the better support. And that, for some reason, that just doesn't sit with me. You know, I want to choose a machine because it is the best machine. It does everything I want it to do. But these two are so close technically on paper, and maybe behind the scenes and maybe from a software standpoint, they're going to be very, very different. But early indications are they're both going to be fantastic, but they're going to be very similarly fantastic. So you're going to have to choose one based on the games available for it. And if you do that, it means you're missing out on a load of games that you also want to play, but you can't because they're tied in exclusively to the other machine. And it just feels wrong to me. It doesn't feel like that should be your basis for buying it, based on the software available. You know what I mean? You don't choose a car stereo based on, well, this one will exclusively play this band because I want that band. You buy it based on which is the best thing for you. Car stereo, not a great example. It's just the first thing that came to mind. But any kind of product you buy, you want it because it's the best product. Whereas it doesn't feel like that's it with these two. You don't buy the PS5 because you think that's going to be the best product. You're buying it because it's so similar to the Xbox One X or the Xbox Series X. but you're buying the PlayStation because it's got this title, because it's got Last of Us, because it's got Spider-Man. And that doesn't, to me, that doesn't feel like that should be the choice you have to make. It should be based on the best machine, because then, as long as you're choosing based on the software, where is the incentive for Microsoft and Sony to innovate from a console standpoint? If you're choosing it based on the machine, like you choose the Switch based on the Switch, and yes, there's some amazing titles on there. There's Animal Crossing and that kind of thing, and you know, obviously there's Mario. They are completely Nintendo based. But you buy the Switch because of what it does, because of what the machine is capable of, and what it gives you. It gives you portability. It gives you motion control, which the others don't. I'm sure at some point they'll implement VR and motion control and that kind of thing if it proves to be a popular thing. I know Microsoft, you know, they had Kinect, which was a bit of a failure. You know, PlayStation have got the I can't remember what they're called, PlayStation Move, was it? But Nintendo do it very, very well, and that's why you would choose that machine, because of those capabilities. With the PS5 and the Series X, they're so close, you're going to choose based on software, which means what the hell do they need to innovate for? When you get to the PS6 and the Xbox 2, for example, whatever they're going to be, where is the incentive for Microsoft or PlayStation to come out with a really innovative console? They don't need to. They just need to be as good as the other guy, and they will make you choose it based on the software that's available. It feels like they don't need to innovate, they just need to sign the best deal with a developer. So that's my concern, that's my worry. At the minute, I am probably going to get one of these consoles. I don't know which one, and it certainly isn't based on a technical thing. It's going to be which has the library I most want, and which one has the library I'm most prepared to sacrifice. Which doesn't feel like that should be the choice for me. It should be which is the best machine. But again, so close, I'm not going to choose based on that, because they're either or. So it's going to come down to the library. And again, if I'm choosing based on the library, where is the incentive for them to innovate in the next generation of consoles? As long as it's as good as the other one, it doesn't matter, because we will get people to be loyal to us because the games we're putting on it, not how good the machine is, or not how innovative the machine is, or not because we have got this killer feature, we have got this amazing thing, we've got this amazing design on our console, we've got amazing features, which the other guy hasn't. We've just got the same as him, but we've got this amazing game that he hasn't got. Just feels wrong. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thank you as always for taking time to watch. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. It'll really help me out. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about or any questions you'd like me to answer, please leave them in the comments along with any thoughts you'd like to share. These are mine. They're not necessarily important. They're not necessarily right or wrong. They're just what was on my mind. So until next time, bye for now.